Record. So where we're starting today is section 2, changes in market equilibrium. Yesterday we introduced supply, we introduced equilibrium, disequilibrium, and I want to show you a couple images here. Let's see if we can get these from what we looked at yesterday. Okay, which law, try and freeze the screen, which law is being demonstrated here?
Decline.
That's correct. But which law is it? Law of... It's a good thing we're going over this because we'll be on the test on this week. We've only gone over 2 laws so far. Law of demand. Price is high, quantity will be low. As the price goes down, the quantity will increase. So you're correct on that one. And this one? So this is the second law. So chapter 4 we talked about law of demand. Chapter 5 we talked about the law of supply. Price increases, quantity will increase. And we're correct with this one. What is this right here when they meet? Equilibrium. Good. And what about this if it's below equilibrium? Shortage. And this one? Surplus. All right. So now we're in section 2 here today. Changes in market equilibrium. So we talked yesterday about equilibrium, and it's very difficult to be there all the time. Equilibrium is a moving target because there's so many outside elements that can affect the price, making it very difficult to always stay on target when it comes to this. So today in class we're going to look at these changes in demand and supply. We'll watch a couple of short little clips that relate to this. And so you should have a good understanding when it comes to understanding these shifts in the notes. And you also need to know what direction these graphs would move for the test that we'll be having later this week. Okay, so let's look at our first example, increase in supply. So when the digital camera came out in 1994, it was $900 for a 1.3 megapixel camera that was on it. So nothing. I don't even know if you can find a camera anymore that even has that low quality. Even a terrible phone, I don't even think has that low quality on it. But in 1994, it came out for that price. But as competition increased, there was started to be a larger demand for this. We began to see a shift in the demand curve, or in the supply curve. Now, when there's an increase in supply, it is moving to the right. And whenever it moves to the right in our graph, would the price increase or would it decrease? And same thing with the quantity. Would it increase or decrease when it comes to this? So price will what? Increase or decrease? So let me show you a visual. If you're watching So here is our graph here. C1 represents demand, supply 1 represents this. If we are increasing to the right, this direction,
quantity goes up,
price will decrease, quantity will increase. So whenever we see it move to the right, we would see that supply, price would increase, or price would decrease, quantity will increase. All right, so we're correct on that one. Now, what takes place if those who create digital cameras says, we're not going to change the price, we're going to keep it at $900. And whenever a new product comes on, if it's a really good idea, entrepreneurs usually jump on that and try to find a way to do it cheaper. And as a result, we usually see an increase. But if the original founders of the digital camera decided that, you know what, we are not going to change the price, we're going to stay at 1.3 megapixels, we're going to charge $900. If we were to look at our graph here, if we're above equilibrium, what do we call that? we'd have a surplus. No one would be buying it, and this is known as inventory. Inventory sitting on the shelves in the storage, not being used. So as a result, we'd have a surplus and an inventory left over. Henry Ford, when he came out with his vehicle, everyone was pushing him that, hey, we need to add colors. We need to have different colors to our vehicles. He's like, we can have any color as long as it is black. And actually, as a result of his idea behind that, actually hurt sales dramatically for a while. And near the end, I believe, the Ford Foundation was in trouble because he was refusing to change with what the demand was asking for. So that is an increase in the supply curve. I took a picture of my car this morning. Why do you laugh? Why is that funny?
It's a great car.
Just because I work here, you think I have no money, huh? Well, you're correct. So decrease in supply is what we're looking at here. So let's say on this car, what happens when the cost of rubber and steel increases? And so now the supply is moving to the left instead of the right. What do you think will happen to the price, and what do you think will happen to the quantity?
Prices have an increase in quantity is going to decrease.
That's correct. So as it moves to the left, our new supply, we will see a price increase and a quantity decrease. Meaning that it is more expensive to come up with those vehicles. And if it's more expensive, well, the profit margin has to be there. So naturally, we'd have to increase the price. But on the other end, the quantity, we can't make as money. And as a result of that, we'd have to decrease the amount that we have. So when we're talking about a shift in decrease of supply, price will increase, quantity will decrease. All right, let's go to the other side. Let's go increase in demand. Increase in demand. So again, whenever there's an increase, we're always moving to the right. Whenever there's a decrease, we move to the left. So whenever there's a demand, usually some sort of fad is the type of thing that gets these things generated to get things moving. And it's just a product or service that's popular for a short amount of time. So if all of a sudden we have original supply, 200,000, we're at equilibrium, and now we've increased, there's a demand of 500,000, we're now below equilibrium, and what do we call that? Shortage. We call it a shortage. We looked at rent control yesterday, and we talked about a scenario in Woodbury. If we saw this massive increase, we'd have a shortage, which would increase the homeless population here in Woodbury. Another cost that's involved with this is a search cost. We talked about New York City. If you want to find an apartment, you usually have to hire someone. So not only are you spending financial resources, but also you're spending time resources, opportunity costs where you could be doing something else right now. So whenever we see an increase in demand, we're moving to the right. What is going to happen to the price, and what is going to happen to the quantity? So let's put it up here. Show on the same page. So what did I say? Increase in demand. So price. Hold on a second. I want to check my notes. I don't want to write the wrong thing up here. Price increase, quantity increase. So it's moving up the supply curve, so the price will increase, and then also we'll have a quantity increase as well as demand moves to the right. So let me show you, I think it's this one we have a video. Illustrate this. So we're right. Price will increase, quantity will increase. So I'm going to show you a video clip from a movie that was actually produced here in Minnesota. It's a Christmas movie. You may have saw it over. And I'm going to pause this video for those who are watching. Escape. I forgot what it was this past season. I left my mind now, but it was this little creature for kids, and I think it could blink and interact and things like that. And what was it? Yes, Hatchables was the big thing this past year. So this one before it. So Hatchables was the big one. People are buying it up like crazy. One doll that became really famous a few years ago now, and you may have gotten one at Christmas time, was the Elmo doll.
Oh my gosh, I have that.
Did you get it when you were young?
No,
Okay.
I got it like
Okay.
3 years ago.
So when these first came out, this was the hottest commodity out there. You would buy it at the store for like $25, and people were selling it for $75, $100. As you got closer to Christmas time, you could find them on eBay for $150, $175, and they don't know why this was just a phenomenon type of deal. I mean, I forgot the creator of this, but their overall sales for that Christmas season like tripled because it was just such a hot item that people are trying to get to. So how do we return to equilibrium after an increase in demand? What do we have to do on the short run? So if we want to get to equilibrium quickly, the equilibrium price, what do we have to do that in the short run? If we're at a shortage, what do we need to do? We'd have to increase it. And then the long-term equilibrium quantity will also have to increase as we increase our supply. So short run, equilibrium price, that's the quick fix, increase the price, just as we saw in that video clip. Equilibrium quantity, what we'll do over time is increase it as well. And it was a big hit. It was a huge hit for quite a while there. They actually made other dolls too, Tickle Me Cookie Monster and Ernie and Big Bird, but those just did not seem to go like the Elmo doll. So, but you don't ever hear about those ones because no one really wanted them. They just wanted the Elmo doll. Okay, so that is an increase when it comes to demand. Well, how to return to equilibrium after a decrease in demand. So now we are going the other direction. Another direction on this one. And we'll get to some of these fad toys that are up here. Yes. As far as I know, that's what it is.
Hi.
Or you know what? I think it was called Gigapet when it first came out. And you still have them? That's where most people keep their Beanie Babies right now. Okay, so now we have a decrease in demand. Moving to the left. What's going to happen to the price and what's going to happen to the quantity? Price will decrease and the quantity? What about the quantity?
Decrease.
It will also decrease. So whenever there's a decrease in demand, the price and the quantity will decrease together. So when we get to our test, you'll need to be able to look at a graph, read the scenario, and understand which way things are moving. So we were correct. There was a decrease when it came to both of these. I'm going to show you a video clip of a guy who invested all his retirement into Beanie Babies. And then I'll show you this documentary real quick. And let me pause this. Sorry. What we saw in the video is he actually went bankrupt and he bought everything. I mean, they were a very hot commodity at that time. They kind of got a good piece of their fame was McDonald's was offering this as a Happy Meal gift. So as soon as the new Beanie Baby came out for McDonald's for that week or that month, you would see lines everywhere at McDonald's, just people buying them up like crazy. They actually put a limit on how many Happy Meals you could buy through the drive-thru for this reason, because they would take it out and just throw the food and everything else out. They didn't want anything else. So, like you said, $4 flipping a profit for $60. Yeah, but finally people realized that these are just stuffed animals stuffed with Beanie Baby, whatever's in them, beans. So that dropped off dramatically, and there's never been a rebound with those since. And like many of us, we just have them stuck in boxes somewhere. I never invested when it came into anything like this. The only thing that you really need to know for this is just when consumers, producers come together, kind of what we did in class here already. That's kind of what you need to know. The producer knows the bottom line. The consumer knows how much the top line. And when they come together, they just have a chance to decide and negotiate on a price. So that's all you really need to know for that slide there. Okay, section 2 notes. And if there's any questions, let me know.